Good evening, everyone, and welcome to A Round of Sound. And boy, we're going to have some interesting comments here tonight. I do believe it's the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown each and every Sunday night. I'm Bob Pompeani, and you saw the Steelers 33-3 losers in Foxborough. Looked like they had really no pushback whatsoever, like the life was completely sucked out of them in that game. New England put on a clinic. We'll talk about that. We'll also get into chest. Antonio Brown, now there. Should the league have investigated how this went down? Was it orchestrated? We'll get into that and much more. But, of course, the #1 topic right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the Steelers, who are 0-1. Now they come home to Seattle, and there wasn't a lot of good in that game tonight. So here's your panel left to right on your television screen. We have Andrew Fillipponi from the PM show on 93.7 The Fan every afternoon. Also, his national show, The Pony Show on CBS Radio. And then you have Jason Mackey, outstanding beat writer for the Post-Gazette for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's in the middle. Paul Zeise from the Post-Gazette, and, of course, the Paul Zeise Show on The Fan also here. So let's get right into it, Andrew. Is this more a reflection of how bad the Steelers are or how good the Patriots are? If you had to pick one of those two, what would it be?
I'm going to go with the latter, Bob. I think the Steelers, you know, if they had opened up with the Dolphins and Baltimore had gone to New England, I think we'd have flipped records right now. But instead, the Steelers go into the Lions' den. It's always Christians v. Lions in Foxborough. No resistance for Tom Brady. Sloppy, undisciplined football. And I think the Steelers showed tonight that there's a large gap between them and the Patriots. And New England showed, Bob, that Brady can still do it at 42. Their defense looks like it's going to be dominant this year. And, oh, by the way, the NFL's most productive wide receiver over the last half-decade will be available for them in Week 2. They are, by a wide margin, including Kansas City, in my opinion, now the best team in the AFC.
I always have a very simple rule, and that is, in the NFL, in this era of free agency and everything else, I don't overreact to the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. I know that they looked horrible tonight. I get it. But anybody that picked them to win needs to have their head examined.
But are they close to New England, Paul?
Why did anybody think they were going to win up there?
Are the Steelers close?
I don't know. Ask me 6 weeks from now, and I'll tell you.
So we just don't give opinions until Week 6?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I mean, okay, so you know what? They should stop playing the season. They're not going to make the playoffs based on
that's not what I asked. I said, are they close to New England in your opinion?
Right now, they're not. But you know what? When they go up there, generally, this is what happens to them.
Okay.
Well, that's why, Paul, I thought this was extremely important for them to go up there and prove it wrong. For #1, it's never too soon to talk about tiebreakers, Jason. And when you're dealing with New England, you don't want them to play there in the playoffs. Because, you know, that's why it was important for the Steelers to win a game there and have that under their belts.
Or at least look good, Bob. Be competitive.
You know, you're right. It was really important that they beat them last year. It really worked out in the – oh, wait, never mind.
No, but I'm talking about at Foxborough, given this season what they're dealing with. All right, Jason, what's your take on where they are? And, you know, was this more a reflection of the Steelers or more a reflection of New England?
I would agree with Andrew. I mean, I think it's more of a reflection on where the Steelers are right now. And I'm not going to say that they're going to be like this for the entire season. But I do think it's problematic or troublesome or something that they started as slow as they did. I thought this team would be a heck of a lot more prepared than they actually were. So, I mean, we can evaluate it based on Week 1. I do get what Paul's saying that, you know, ask me in 6 weeks, but we're not in that position. You have to make a grade or make a comment based on what we saw today. And what we saw today
I don't understand how you could not render this verdict after tonight. As long as the Steelers have to play an important game in New England, they won't win.
Well,
yeah, but they were so ill-prepared tonight. It wasn't just getting beat.
If they were playing the Bills tonight and that happened, or they were playing the Jets tonight and that happened, if they were playing the Browns tonight and that happened, it would be a lot more cause for alarm.
No doubt, Paul.
Than playing the Patriots.
The point
is that, you know what, someone else could beat the Patriots and the Steelers might not have to play.
Well, right, but that's the only way to get through the AFC, is it not?
Or the Patriots lose a couple of games, Paul, and they've got to come here.
Short of Tom Brady getting injured, will you ever pick the Steelers to go in there and win?
Up there?
Yes.
No.
Okay, so that's actually a pretty big takeaway from Week 1. Is that regardless?
It's a takeaway from since 2001.
Agreed.
It's not about one game.
Okay, well then tonight was a confirmation bias for you and me.
Here's the one thing I will say to you, Andrew. I will concede, okay? I thought the Steelers coaching staff had a horrendous night.
Right.
I thought that it looked like the other coaching staff was playing chess and they weren't even playing checkers. I don't even know what they were playing. I could go through so many different things that the coaching staff, to me, and here's the other thing. If this team is going to continue to try and win games based on Ben Roethlisberger just chucking the ball everywhere and not doing anything at all to establish some semblance of a consistent running game,
I agree.
They are going to be sadly disappointed.
But I give more credit to New England defensively.
He is not that kind of quarterback.
You're right about that. But, Jason, let me go over to you about this now. Because this is one game out of 16, and I think Paul's point is accurate there. You never know how things are going to work out. It's a wild and wacky situation. But if I were to ask you, which side of the ball concerns you most, offense or defense? To me, it's a slam dunk offense. I thought that offense showed me nothing tonight, and I have concerns about depth behind Juju Smith-Schuster. And now, if somebody takes him away, like New England did tonight, basically with Gilmore on him and nobody else, what does that mean for the other guys? And do they have answers?
Pomp, I share your concerns on the offense, but I'm not ready to divorce myself from the defensive concerns either. I didn't think the defense was good whatsoever tonight. And what Tom Brady did, I mean, yes, he's done that to them. He's done that to a lot of people. The crossing routes and all the other stuff they were unable to cover. But I don't know. I feel like we're picking two very ugly things tonight. Dante Moncrief was problematic, and there isn't much there on either side.
I think the other thing is maybe because for the offense's sake, the Steelers need to reevaluate the way they go about the preseason when they've got this many new players.
That was going to be a topic I bring up. I agree with that.
Well, I'm just going to say it looked like to me an offense that really was just disjointed and really not on the same page. But I keep going back to the same thing, and I said it last year. They need to find a way to incorporate James Conner in the running game and really get that thing going. I'm not some 1970s football guy. I'm just telling you, when Ben Roethlisberger's at his best, it's when he can mix things up and they're not one-dimensional. When they become one-dimensional, they're really,
well, they don't believe that, Paul. I mean, he doesn't believe that anymore. He averaged 42 pass attempts a game last year.
And that's not good.
They philosophically believe that the short passing game is the same thing as a run game, and it's not. But that's just their MO
I agree.
on that. And look, I think there are going to be times this year, Bob, where their big three on offense, Ben, Conner, and Juju, look better than they did against New England. If I'm going to pick a side of the ball here, their defense still needs to prove to me that it can travel and go on the road and beat a really good quarterback or a really good offense.
Right,
and we didn't see it last year. They've got potential because of the Bush pick this year, but it obviously didn't yield any fruit tonight.
All right, we'll continue this coming up. We have to go to a break. We'll also talk about the man who's now in New England, and Tom Brady wants him to live with him for a while. Boy, this has been a weird week for sure. But football season, as you know, now is underway. So I ask you to pick up a new number one Cochran Chevy now and be ready for those tailgate parties and road trips, because you better get there fast. Number one Cochran Chevrolet's amazing buy and lease specials won't be around too long, but you can get the best offers of the season on all big-name Chevy players, including Silverado, Traverse, and Malibu. Now only at the new number one Cochran Chevrolet in Cranberry, formerly Kenny Ross, or you can visit CochranChevrolet.com. More Steeler Talks coming up next. The number one Cochran Sports Showdown is brought to you by number one Cochran, Go One Better, and by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Have a greater hand in your health.